I want to end this with this final clip, because one of the things that I know that you're probably doing is you're doing what I did in the podcast market. I'm too late. It's going to be too hard. I've never done this before. I'm too far down the road in a different direction. I've already been an accountant, or this is my major, or I've spent 7 years with this person, or I've lived here for so long. You're doing the whole like sunk cost thing. I spent too much time, too late to change, don't know how to do it. This is a major, major mistake that you're making. And I want you to hear the final thing that I said to Barbara, because she admitted she's going to move to LA. She's 46. She's been at it for 25 years. She's going to go back because it is way more painful to live a small life knowing you gave up on your dream than to go for it and wake up every day and be for your dream and fan the flame. And maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe it does. But waking up every day knowing that you're aligned with this greater purpose and drive and calling inside you, that's what you're meant to do. So let's go back to LA, because I want to leave you with one more thing. What did you get?
I got that my sister is very kind.
No jokes. No jokes.
I'm being serious.
No, I want you to talk about you.
Okay. You have to just go for it and
here's the thing.
And not focus so much on what you're afraid of and being comfortable, but just do the thing that scares you, which
it's even bigger than that.
Okay.
So if you wish to be happier, do you know what life gives you? Things that make you sad. And then you have to figure out how to be sad or happy when things are sad.
Right.
You know what happens when you say that you want peace in your life? You want things to be easier? Oh, you know what bubbles to the surface? All the stuff that's broken. And then you have to bring and figure out how to bring peace to this. And so for you, there is something that you needed to do in Florida.
Yeah.
So you would get serious about doing the work back here. And that there was something in the breakdown and whatever it is that you want to call it that was meant for you because you clearly needed it to come back here and actually do what you're meant to do. And look, it might take 30 years, but it'll be the best damn Netflix special I have ever seen in my entire life. One of the things that I'll never forget is that when I started arguing for her dreams, that's when she got really emotional. You probably heard her choking up when I said, you're moving back and you're going for it, and it's going to be the next best damn Netflix special you've ever had. It may take 30 years. And that's what's available to you too. Because the bottom line is, don't you dare listen to this and spend your time writing to me or DMing me about your excuses, about how old you are or how late you are or how much you've screwed up your life. Do you understand you are listening to a 54-year-old woman who had been thinking about launching a podcast since 2011? And I'm just 4 weeks into this. If I can reinvent my life and clear out the bullshit that I am doing to argue against my dreams, if I can get in touch with what is truly calling me and claim it and be honest and turn toward it and figure out how to make it a reality, so can you. And the fact is, absolutely everything that has sucked about your life or where you are right now, you needed, because you needed to experience unhappiness to realize, I want to be happy. You needed to feel small to realize that's not what's meant for you. You know, I thought that I was going to be a daytime talk show host. I thought that was my big dream. I would like follow the giants like Ellen and Oprah and all these incredible people. And you know what happened? I did that job at CBS Broadcast Center with Sony Pictures for a year, and then I got fired from that job when COVID hit. Literally. and I was lost. And you know what I learned from that experience? I learned that that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't actually like it at all. I loved the people. I loved the machine. I did not like the product at all. There was something that was off. Every single thing that is happening to you is happening for those dreams of yours. And see, maybe you needed the breakdown that you're in order to realize you deserve to be happy. Maybe you needed that job you didn't like to realize you better get serious about creating what you want. Maybe you needed to apply to law school and get there and go, not for me, to realize something else was meant for you and you should stop denying the fact that you wanted to go into a creative field. So do not let the fact that you have spent a certain amount of time, or you're a certain age, or you're too early, or you're too late, or all of that crap to invalidate the truth. The truth is, you're right on time. If you're having the wake-up call that I intend for you to have, as you listen to this, as you're realizing that your dreams are as alive as they have ever been, if you are starting to go, oh my God, I've been against myself, I'm going to be for myself. If you're starting to say, wow, I really have put the lid on. I really have stopped allowing myself or giving myself permission to have something incredible happen in my life. If you're having the wake-up call that I intended, good. Now let me tell you something else. There is no deadline on your dreams, and there is no age at which you're supposed to do this. You can start a business at 18. You can quit the job you had out of college at 24. You can go back to technical school after getting a master's at 31. You can literally adopt a child at the age of 39 when you're single. You can go to nursing school after you've raised your kids and you're 42 years old. You can learn how to teach your first online course at the age of 48. You could become a podcast host at the age of 54. You could get married for the first time at 63. You could skydive at 71. You could run your first marathon at 82. Your dreams do not disappear. There is no age at when you can't do something or when you're too early. It's complete bullshit. Your dreams are something you were born with. They are your responsibility, and they are also the life force inside of you. So stop running away from them and turn toward them. Run toward your dreams. Stop arguing against them and be the loudest voice for them. And for crying out loud, stop extinguishing that flame that's burning inside you. Enough with the excuses. Enough with the jokes and the downplaying. Enough with this fear. Your job is to turn toward that flame. Turn toward that flame and freaking fan it. Fan it with all your might. That flame inside you is supposed to burn bright. And the only way that that's going to happen is when you are honest with yourself about that thing you've been denying, about that calling that you feel, about the fact that you're meant for more than where you're at right now, that you deserve to be happy, that those dreams are real, and you have within you the ability to chip away at them. And that when you wake up every single day and you write down those 5 dreams, and you see and you hear and you feel the fact that your life has clues, your life is trying to help you. Your life is trying to help you become who you're destined to become. After doing something so extraordinary, and you also have made a huge difference in women's lives around the world because you are extraordinarily philanthropic. $40 million worth of product and monetary donations to people that are struggling with cancer. And what is next for you? Because you are right now in the middle of figuring out on this next leg of the journey called life what your purpose is and what your next thing is going to be. what tools are you using or how are you thinking about it? And it's really important topic because so many people, particularly after the last 3 years, have had a profound life change thrust on them.
Yes.
And they're looking ahead at an open road, wondering what their purpose is going to be, what they're going to do. Can you just speak to that person for a minute about
hmm
how you're going about figuring it out?
Yeah. So, one thing I just want to remind everyone too, Mel, because I think people put so much pressure on themselves that their purpose has to be their job or their
Hmm.
next job. And a lot of times we can be doing a job that's fine. And maybe for family reasons, we need that health coverage and we need that paycheck and your purpose can be found in the things you do outside of that, right? There's a lot of ways to listen to that knowing and your gut and then when it feels right, you know that's aligned with who you're born to be
Mm-hmm.
and how you're born to show up in the world. And so for me right now, there's that famous saying, just because you can, should you, right? There's
Mm.
a big part of me now with all these, could I go launch a bunch of businesses? Yes. Right. And what I feel drawn to is literally because here's the deal. Yes, I've built $1 billion business. Yes, I have other companies that I invest in.
You
But
also are married and you have two beautiful children,
yes, a
and
2-year-old and a
you're
4-year-old.
incredibly devoted to your family.
hmm Well, and here's the thing is like that's all part of my story, but when I look at my real story, it meaning the part that ties deeply to my purpose, like my real story is a girl who went from not believing in herself to
Mm.
learning how to. And so when I wake up in the morning and I think about the things I've done so far, the things I hope for my kids for, and how I built $1 billion business, it was really through seeing women, helping them see themselves
Mm.
and believe in themselves and believe they are worthy and enough. And that's what fires me up every morning. So when I think about what I'm stepping into next,
Yeah.
I wrote Believe It, which is about my book about how to go from underestimated to unstoppable, donated all the proceeds. I'm donating all the proceeds from that 100%. I funded
Hold
leadership.
on, hold on. Let's just underscore that. So she writes a New York Times bestseller, donates all the proceeds from the book
Yeah.
to nonprofits. Just donates them.
Yeah. And the book is just
It's
from,
incredible.
thank you.
It's like a little manual that you should have on your bedside table because Jamie will be smiling at you
Yes.
and you'll see that you're not alone, that we're in this together. And her example of learning how to go from doubting herself to believing in herself is the journey that each and every one of us is on.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of in this soup of knowing that this is the area where you want to focus the impact, but you're
Yeah.
not being a very, very, very good friend of yours. I know that you're not, it's still a fuzzy target, so to speak, as
Mm,
our friend Dean would say, it's a fuzzy target. If somebody kind of has a sense that there's something more, but they don't quite have they haven't had that aha moment yet that
yeah.
you had almost 14 years ago sitting on that television set.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make makeup and I'm gonna bring real women in. I'm gonna show my skin and I'm gonna
Yeah.
solve this problem. I'm gonna make people think that they're beautiful because they are beautiful no matter what their body. And you did it. You did it. But if you're in the soup and you
Yeah.
don't have the vision yet, is there an exercise or something that you would recommend that we all do while we're waiting for that clarity and that epiphany to strike?
Yeah. Two things. One, waiting for it to be perfect can be the lowest vibration, biggest excuse.
Hmm.
Number one reason why people just never try and never get started. So I think it's rare to ever have complete clarity. Like this is exactly perfect for, and that's why, I think two things. I think just taking a step and seeing how it feels is good, tuning into your knowing. I also think, Dean, so you mentioned our friend Dean who was saying it's a fuzzy target. He was saying something to me recently about, almost like when you're about to aim a bow and arrow and you're about to let go of the arrow, He's like, you can aim and turn it and twist it a few times before you let go of the arrow. It's okay to wait a little bit and just make sure you're going to aim at the right thing.
Mm.
And so this year, for example, I've kind of been doing that. I've been saying, how do things feel? I have the gift and blessing of being here with you right now,
How does this
saying,
feel?
feels amazing.
So does this mean
I love
you're going
you.
to do a talk show?
Maybe you could teach me all the ropes, Mel, and then yeah, but
Hardly. I am a failed talk show host.
okay, there, don't even you
That
want
is true.
this is
My
a
talk show got canceled.
mm-hmm,
Why?
mm-hmm.
Because,
I can tell you why. Go ahead.
well, I was going to apply the lessons from Professor Purpose, but I'd like to hear you tell me why.
I think our steps are ordered. Why? I think because you are going to own all of what you're doing and make it so much bigger than anyone else who owned it could have made it.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So, by that definition, I think you're the most successful talk show host. That's the first thing. Um,
At least in the podcast it is.
but no, I think it's all going to be the same. I think a show is a show. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The world's changing so rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
And I love too that you can do this show on your terms,
It's true.
right? You can do it on your terms. And that's why it is so huge because it's on your terms.
Well, like you, and maybe this is one of the reasons why we have become such dear friends in such a short period of time. And I often say on the show that I truly believe that the best years of your life and the best friendships that you'll have are on the road ahead.
Mm,
But a lot of the reason why we connected so profoundly, even though we are different in many, many ways,
yeah.
is that it goes back to the Denny's waitress. Like at my core, I am still the waitress making money, waiting tables at the Red Rooster Tavern on Scenic Drive in North Muskegon, Michigan. Same as you, stalling because the fryer has now broken and the fried perch is not coming out. And I'm talking to the tourists from Chicago and I'm treating everybody kindly. And I know that all I want to do is impact people's lives that are just got their head down and they don't feel very seen or heard. And I want to make them know that they have it within them to tap into this incredible power inside them to create whatever they want in life.
Yes.
And it starts with believing
Yes.
that you can and having somebody like you on who has demonstrated that is really
Yeah.
important for people to hear.
On that topic of friendship, I love so much that you are the friend that people need to your audience. Like, and what I mean by that, and I'm honored to be the friend for this episode with you to everyone. And what I mean by that, Mel, is I think you and I love each other for who we authentically are. The Denny's waitress, the Red Rooster waitress, right? And we also are friends that help pull each other into who we're
Yes.
becoming.
Yes.
And I think so often, and that's why I love, and your show also, as you know, of course, but I just want to call it out that your show can be this for people who feel like, how do I find those friends that help pull me into my future? Because so often the people around us, while they might mean really, really well and love us dearly, pull us into our past, or for their own comfort zone, want us to stay the person we were or are. And it's so important, because we're talking about purpose,
Yeah.
to try and add friends to your circle who truly want the best for you, not just what they think is the best for them in you, but like want the best for you. And you do that for me. I do that for you.
Yes.
This show, your show, I know does that for people as
Yes.
well. And so honored to be part of that.
Thank you. And today we are talking about an awesome topic. We're talking about none other than procrastination. Why do I want to talk about procrastination with you today? Well, because this is a topic that I have a lot of experience with. I used to struggle with procrastination profoundly. I still do some days. And every single time I talk about the topic of procrastination, the research, the science on social media, you guys go crazy. I mean, this stuff goes viral. And even when I'm working with major brands like Starbucks or Microsoft, or just last week I was in San Diego speaking at this secret event for a company that is in the human genome sequencing space. I mean, really cool stuff. At some point, everybody has a question about procrastination or is struggling with it and seeking tools that they can use to stop procrastinating and be more effective and more focused. And honestly, this is such a big topic and an important one. I'm kind of surprised that you and I haven't talked about it yet. I have the 5-second rule book right here on my lap because I even wrote and researched an entire chapter about procrastination for this book. So I love teaching this topic. You're going to love what you're about to learn because everybody struggles with procrastination. I've already admitted I'm a former chronic procrastinator. You've heard all about the all-nighters I've pulled in college. I want you to know you are not alone. And I want to say right up front, the reason why you struggle with procrastination is because you're thinking about procrastination wrong. I used to do the same thing. And so today, you're going to stop beating yourself up, and you and I are going to get to the root of what's truly going on when you struggle with procrastination. And by the end of the episode, instead of saying to yourself, why can't I just make myself do this? You're going to change the question because you're no longer going to think there's something wrong with you. Why can't I just get this done? You'll be asking yourself the questions that, based on research, these are the questions that you should be asking yourself when you're procrastinating, which is, how am I feeling right now? What is truly stressing me out? If you want to stop procrastinating, you have to understand it. You have to understand why you do it, and you have to understand the deeper issue that triggers you to procrastinate. And that's why we're not going to procrastinate on the topic any longer. You and I are talking about this sucker today. And I have this incredible question that I want to share with you from a listener named Viddy, and I'm going to play it for you in just a minute. But before I do, I want to give you 4 takeaways immediately because I want you to start changing how you think about procrastination immediately. So rule number 1, stop labeling yourself a procrastinator. You are not a procrastinator. You have a habit of procrastinating. Big difference. When you call yourself a procrastinator like I used to, it becomes part of your identity. And procrastination is not a personality trait. Procrastination is a broken pattern of behavior that you need to understand, and then you need to fix it and replace it with something better. And you may be the kind of person right now where procrastination is chronic in your life. That's okay. That just tells me that the stress in your life is also chronic. And so today, whether you're just kind of procrastinating on the little things or you're so stressed out because you constantly procrastinate on the big things, you are going to get simple tools to change this. And you're also going to take your power back. And that brings me to takeaway number 2. There are 2 kinds of procrastination. There is destructive procrastination, which is what we're going to focus on, and there's productive procrastination. And when I learned about productive procrastination when I was researching the 5-second rule book, I was relieved because it's helpful when you consciously choose to take a break from something in order to clear your mind. Like, for example, if you're working on a really hard project and you decide to go outside and get some fresh air and take a walk and relieve the stress that you're feeling before you come back. That kind of avoidance or delay is conscious and it's productive. But we're going to focus on the destructive procrastination, okay? And that's the kind of procrastination that you might not even realize the extent to which you're doing it. It could be micro procrastinations that you're engaging in all day, like the fact that you waste hours on social media, probably every single day. And by the end of the week, you're shocked to learn how all those tiny little micro delays added up to a whole lot of wasted time, or whether the kind of destructive procrastination that you do is pretty major. You know, when you're actively avoiding something big, like your dissertation that you need to finish, or the application that you need to fill out, or posting videos on your YouTube channel, or making sales calls, or in the case of the listener that you're about to meet, who is an artist, procrastination is eating her alive. Because every single time she sits down as an illustrator in the morning to work on her portfolio, she can't do it. Just listen to Viddy talk about how this happens.
Hey Mel, first of all, thank you so much for selecting my question. I was beyond happy to see your mail. So my name is Vidhi. I am an illustrator by profession and I absolutely love drawing. But what's been happening for quite a long time now is more than enjoying the process, I am worried about not being able to do a good job with it. Before I even start, I am worried about the end product. Every morning, I cannot wait to sit on the desk and start drawing. But the moment I get in that chair and I have to start drawing, oh my God, Mel, the level of anxiety and doubt and fear. It's like I bury myself deep with all the excuses one can find in the world. And by the end of it, I am so exhausted and tired with all the negative self talk. I have absolutely zero energy left to do anything. I just want to get in bed and never get out.
Ah, I just love her. Viddy, thank you for that. I just want to reach my arms out. I don't know if you can feel this, Viddy, but I am sending you, we are all sending you this big virtual hug. That is so frustrating, and I can relate to that. Can't you relate? It's almost like anguish in your voice. When you're in a situation where there is something in your heart that you know you need to do, or like Viddy, this is a calling. She's an artist, an illustrator. You can tell how deeply she cares about this, how much she wants to do this. And you may feel that way about the business that you're running or the program that you want to apply to. You know, I feel this way about something that I need to do. It's not a calling, it's something I need to do. And that is, I have got to book an appointment to go see a doctor about my hormones. And I was sitting there this morning. I've been thinking about this for a long time. And as I'm sitting here talking to you, my pants are so tight. I'm looking at this kind of hump in the center of my pants. And half the time, my zipper, I notice, is kind of dropping down about a third of the way. I call this hump my breadbasket. And I hate it. And I think about it every day. I think about it every day because when I pull on my pants and I have to zip my pants up, I have to like stick my rear end backwards and sort of suck in to get the zipper of my normal pants up over the breadbasket that I have developed. And, you know, I'm 54. I'm going through some hormonal changes. And what I'm realizing, and I'll unpack this as we talk about the research-backed ways to deal with procrastination, is I'm really triggered by this. I'm really triggered by this because it's a reminder that I'm getting older. It makes me feel like I'm not in control of my health or my body. And the other thing that's adding a lot more stress to this topic, because, you know, let's face it sounds kind of stupid and simple. Mel, call the doctor. Like, how hard is that? Why are you procrastinating on that? Well, believe it or not, one of the major things based on research that you and I procrastinate on, making medical appointments, getting medical tests done. So, you know, on top of this, I keep thinking about the fact, and a lot of you know this, that I'm doing this mental discipline challenge for 75 days called 75 Hard, which I talked all about on that episode, 5 Essential Hacks I'm using to make habits stick. So I need to put this in context for you because the last 30 days, I haven't been drinking alcohol. I'm exercising twice a day. I am drinking more water than ever. I am healthier than ever. And I would think that I would feel really good in my body. And I know some of you look at me and you're like, Mel, come on, like you're my body goals. Like stop bitching about your body. But the truth is, this isn't about what I look like. This is what I feel like in my body. And I know it's confronting me because I'm getting older. And the shit that I've been doing my whole life to stay healthy and vibrant and feeling good in my body, it's not working. Clearly it's not working because I'm getting that thickening in the middle. And as I talk to my girlfriends about this, you know what they say? They say, yeah, like I went to my doctor too, Mel, and you know what they told me? Yeah, just stay active. You'll probably gain 5 to 10 pounds and then it'll probably come off when you're 60. Talk about triggering. So I relate to this because it's something I'm thinking about. It's something that's on my mind. And I bet you've got something like that too. And so before we keep going, I want you to think of something in your life, something like Viddy's describing. Maybe you got to sit down every morning and you're trying to inch forward on some project and you just can't get yourself to do it. Or like me, you're procrastinating on making a medical appointment. Or maybe it's the sales calls. And I'm telling you this because I want you to not just listen. I want you to apply this in real time to what you're dealing with, because there's a lot more going on when you're procrastinating than you realize. And that brings me to this question. And, I realize that by confessing this to you, you're probably thinking, how could you possibly be teaching me about procrastination if you are engaging in it, Mel, and you're confessing this to you? Well, I once heard somebody say that you're best equipped to help somebody that you used to be. And I used to be a chronic procrastinator. And I now know what you're about to learn. And so I can spot this stuff immediately. And it's also why I know that there's a whole lot more going on as to why I've avoided calling the doctor to date than just calling the doctor. I hate getting older. I hate feeling like I'm not in control. And we're going to unpack all of this, which brings me to the third takeaway about procrastination. And that is, you can learn how to stop procrastinating. And I want to say this very loud and clear to Viddy and to you. You're capable of this. You don't lack willpower. You're not lazy. You're not stupid. There's nothing wrong with you. Can we be honest as friends? You can fill out the financial aid forms. You can train for a marathon. You can repair your marriage and get to therapy. You can get to the doctor. And you know what else you can do? You can stop beating yourself up about this, and you can stop making yourself wrong. Because right now, you're about to learn something. You're stuck in what researchers call a procrastination cycle. This is this vicious cycle because you don't understand procrastination. Neither did I. That's why my chronic procrastination spun out of control until I learned everything that I'm about to teach you. And that brings me to the fourth takeaway. Every single time you're procrastinating, it's being triggered by stress. See, that's the crazy thing about procrastination. It has nothing to do with what you need to do. Procrastination, defined in the dictionary, is avoiding or putting something off, delaying it. But when you look at the research, and we're going to dig into that in a minute, the way that researchers define procrastination is that you are avoiding stress. That's what you're avoiding. You're not avoiding the application. You're not avoiding the illustration. You blow off things that take brain power because you are trying to avoid stress. Procrastination is the attempt to feel better in this moment. And strangely, what you're about to learn is that when I walk you through this 3-step research-backed technique that you're going to use every single time that you catch yourself procrastinating, is that procrastination is triggered by stress. That's what it's about. I'm going to say that again. Procrastination is a habit that you have learned and that you repeat whenever you feel stressed. And this comes from research from Dr. Timothy Peichel at Carleton University. His definition of procrastination is this: a subconscious desire to feel good right now. And he shares that procrastination, it's just all about stress. And I'm going to unpack this for you because when you first hear that, wait, procrastination is a subconscious desire to feel good right now? How the heck does that make sense? I mean, Viddy really wants to draw, Mel. So wouldn't it make sense that she'd feel good if she were drawing? Sort of. Sort of. And I'm going to explain this. It makes sense intellectually, but when I unpack how stress is triggering you to stop doing something that you care about or that you need to do, this is all going to be like, holy cow, why didn't I hear this sooner? So I'm going to give you an example. But I want you to understand that that stress that is triggering you to procrastinate, it could be something going on in your life right now, or it could be deep-seated stress, like childhood trauma. It could be anxiety or depression or something in your past that you haven't dealt with, a situation that you're worried about that's completely unrelated to work or to the things that you need to do. It might just be the relentless pressure and stress that you feel because you are so hard on yourself. I mean, you haven't even met Viddy, and you can hear in her voice. The woman beats herself up all day long. Talk about stressful. And that's why I'm so excited to be able to teach this to you today. It's why I love this topic so much, because when we talk about procrastination, we're not talking about getting shit done. You're going to get shit done as a byproduct. But when you truly understand the research and the topic of procrastination, it's about self-awareness, stress management, and being effective and productive on the things that matter to you. It's about feeling a sense of control and agency in your life. So let's really unpack what it means when I say that your habit of procrastinating is triggered by the stress in your life. Stop and think for a minute. What is stressing you out right now? I just kind of talked about the breadbasket, getting older, that kind of stuff. But let me stop and think, I'm stressing about the fact that my parents are getting older. And I haven't seen them in a while. I'm going to go see them in a week. And it's making me realize, my God, we have not seen each other. And I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. It stresses me out. Maybe the same is true for you. Or maybe your mom and dad, their health is failing. And it's really upsetting you. Or perhaps like I used to have profound financial stress, like just crushing, relentless financial stress, always on my mind, always worried about it. Or your best friends are going through a divorce. Maybe that's something that's on your mind and it's really bothering you and you don't know what to do about it. And so here you are in your day-to-day life. You got this big thing that is on your mind. You carry it around like a backpack of stress. You're thinking about it all the time. Maybe it's even just in your subconscious, just grinding away at you. You haven't been working on the dissertation. Oh my God, I need to work on that thing. And why am I not getting to it? And oh my God, I need to do this. And so here you go. And like Viddy, you sit down and there's something you need to do. Maybe you have to work on your portfolio. Maybe you got to make a few sales calls. Maybe you need to sort through all of those medical bills and figure out like how to get compensated and reimbursed from insurance. Talk about like something that requires concentration. Maybe you're working on your business plan. Maybe it's something you're really excited about. You're working on the next chapter of your book. But as you sit there and you start to do the work, here's what's interesting. You need to concentrate, don't you? Like doing that thing requires a bit of focus. It requires your prefrontal cortex to engage. You've been learning all about this on the Mel Robbins podcast. But you got the stress backpack on your back. You got all of this stuff ruminating through you. And it might not be something that is present of mind. It might not be like maybe all your kids are doing fine today. And so you're not worried about, you can't put your finger on it. Your stress backpack might be the fact that you're still living with the effects of childhood trauma. And so when you walk into work and you sit down, or you've got a list of phone calls you need to make, or you've got a report you need to finish, or you've got something you need to edit, and that's going to require you to concentrate, your brain literally looks at you and is like, excuse me? You want me to do an illustration right now? You want me to make a phone call to a stranger and try to sell them some of this stuff right now? Have you not seen that I have a stress backpack on? You want me to focus on 15 phone calls when I've been worried about how I'm going to pay my bills all day and what mom's going to do? Can we just look at some cat videos or some memes or some TikTok dance trends? I mean, I need a break. And then all of a sudden what happens? Next thing you know, 2 hours have gone. You haven't made a single phone call. You haven't drawn a single thing. You have not even cracked open the folder with a financial aid application in it. You've been online shopping. You've been scrolling through TikTok. You have been texting people mindlessly. You've been looking at social media. And then what happens next? You go, oh my God, holy cow, it's already 3 o'clock. I didn't do any of this thing. And next thing you know, holy cow, you're even more stressed out. And let me go back to that example that I said about micro procrastination, which is the number of times you pick up your phone and you mindlessly just check out. And you start scrolling on social media. I often will look at my daughters as they're just like, it doesn't even make that noise, but I would imagine they're going through it so fast. I'm like, what are you doing? Nothing. Taking a break from life. And it feels like you're doing something, right? Because you're like, but you're doing this because you want to check out for a minute. You don't want to have to think about anything. You don't want to have to focus on something. Why? Because your brain and your body's already taxed. See, when you're stressed, it triggers that fight, flight, freeze alarm system in your body. You want to know what procrastination is? It's freezing. I'm going to say that again because I can feel the wake-up calls going ding, 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 ding as you're listening. I'm going to say that again. You know that you have a fight or flight response, right? When you get stressed out, you go on edge. There's also freeze when you're stressed. You feel paralyzed. Procrastination is a form of freezing. Let me explain this. See, life triggers you. A bill arrives in the mail or in your inbox, and you're thinking, how the hell am I going to pay that? All of a sudden, you get triggered by stress. Your brain goes into survival mode to protect you, and you freeze. So, without even thinking about it, you procrastinate on something. Why? Because you're trying to feel a little better right now. That's why you look at social media. That's why you blow off the 15 phone calls, because those feel hard. That's why you blow off the writing that you need to do, or the video that you need to shoot, or the thing that feels hard. And then what happens is, because you've blown it off in order to feel a little bit better right now, you get a little behind. And guess what happens? You then feel more stressed. And this is exactly what Vidhi is experiencing. And this is why you got to get in front of this procrastination habit, because this will very quickly spiral out of control. And here she is talking about how she gets triggered, that when she sits down and she starts to worry about, and here's her stress, is it going to be good enough? I got to get this right. I don't know if this is the right drawing to do. And she starts thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. And she even uses the word siren naturally. She even feels like it's an alarm that's getting triggered. Listen to this.
I realized whenever anything good is about to happen, a siren goes off inside my head. Oh, it's too good to be true. Oh, it's too good to be true. Oh, you think you can do this. Seriously, you can't. They chose the wrong person. You're clearly not good enough. There are hundreds of much more talented artists. When you finish this project, they'll know that you are a fake, that you are not good enough. So I think you should just stop doing whatever you're doing right now. So, yeah. Every time something good happens, I find myself running from it. And I think we name this self-doubt as wanting to be perfect. And for God's sake, I don't even like perfect. I don't want my drawings to be perfect. I like the imperfect parts of my drawing. And another thing, sometimes this negative talk, this negative voice gets so loud. I know that if I do certain things, like if I go and give myself a high five, I am going to feel better and I will be able to get back and do my job. But I just don't do it. I just don't. It's like feeling shitty has become a comfortable feeling. I don't even know if that makes any sense.
That last line, it's like feeling shitty, has become a comfortable feeling. Vidhi, what you are describing makes perfect sense. What you're describing is how stress and this desire, this tension between just trying and expressing yourself, and this deep-seated fear that it's not going to be right or it's not going to be perfect, and how that paralyzes you. That's why you're procrastinating. And what you're describing is how it triggers you to freeze when you sit down to work as an illustrator. And now you are in a vicious cycle because you're so used to feeling this way. It has become comfortable. And I want to make a really clear distinction, everyone, that the word comfortable doesn't mean you like it. The word comfortable means you're used to it, that it's normal to feel shitty. It's normal to feel stuck. It's normal to feel like you know what you need to do, but you can't make yourself do this. And I want you to hear me loud and clear. This is normal. This is a normal experience to have, and you can do something about it. And if you relate to Vidhi like I do, good, because then you're seeing it. You're seeing that you're trapped in this cycle, and seeing it is really the first step, and you going, okay, good, because I'm going to break the cycle. I'm going to replace it with something else. If you're still trying to spot yourself in this vicious procrastination loop, let me give you another more relatable example that I've been hinting at several times. How many times have you had that experience where you're going to bed, you're brushing your teeth, and you start to feel stressed out as you're going to bed because you reflect on the night and you think, oh my God, I just wasted the whole evening. I just spent 3 hours scrolling through social media while I was lounging on the couch watching something on Netflix, and I'm not going to get that time back. And now it's too late. And I know why you did it, and so do you. You were stressed out. You finished the day, and you were tired, and you were stressed, or you were worried about something, or you felt like, my God, I've been concentrating all day. I just need a break. They call this revenge procrastination. When you literally do nothing at night, you blow off time, you waste your time because you're getting back at your job because it stressed you out. And, look, is it a big deal to scroll on social media now and then? Of course not. But when this habit of micro procrastination or revenge procrastination starts to cause a cycle of you coming home and feeling stressed out all the time, and now you're going to bed stressed out, and you're waking up stressed out, and you didn't take the time tonight to set yourself up tomorrow morning, and now you're waking up stressed out because you're feeling behind based on what happened last night. This is how the stress builds and builds and builds. And so I think the big question is this: Mel, what do I do about it? You now got me freaked out. I'm no longer frozen. I want to run. I want to take a sledgehammer and break this cycle in half. Well, when we come back, you got me, and you got the research and the solution. And I am about to explain the simple 3-step process that you are going to use based on research in order to break the vicious cycle of procrastination and to take back your time and your life. I mean, this is big stuff. And I'm going to warn you, like a lot of things that I share, at first glance, it might sound kind of stupid. This one might even sound a little schmarmy, but this is all research-based. And in fact, I have a copy of the 5-Second Rule book right here with me. I'm on page 145, which is where chapter 11 begins, which is all about the science of procrastination. Step number 1 to breaking this cycle. When you catch yourself procrastinating, forgive yourself. Step 1. The next time you catch yourself procrastinating, step 1 is forgive yourself. And there's a really profound reason why. Procrastination is not about laziness. It's not about a lack of discipline. It's not something you do because you're dumb. Procrastination is a coping mechanism. You just have a desire to feel good right now, and you deserve that. You have a desire to lessen the stress in your life, and you deserve to lessen the stress in your life. I get it. And this first step, to forgive yourself, this comes from research from Dr. Peichel. By the way, he has been studying procrastination for 2 decades. I mean, just imagine that. Studying procrastination for 2 decades. That is a dedicated person right there, and we thank you for your service to all of us. His research found that people who forgive themselves are less likely to procrastinate again. In fact, there was a study that he did. I want to turn to the page. I got the book right here. He co-authored a paper about how students who forgave themselves for procrastinating were less likely to procrastinate on their next test. It sounds silly, but part of the problem that psychologists have uncovered is that when you're somebody that procrastinates, you're really hard on yourselves to begin with. In fact, being hard on yourself is one of the major causes of why you're so damn stressed. And so taking a moment and forgiving yourself, and you've got to actually have a talk with yourself where you are sitting there like, oh my God, 2 hours just went by? Wow, I must be really stressed out. I forgive myself for just blowing off 2 hours on social media. And you know what? I can spend the next hour setting my day up tomorrow for success. Or maybe you see all your bills and you realize you haven't opened those suckers in 2 months. Just go, wow, I haven't opened my bills in 2 months? I must be really nervous about this. I forgive myself for not doing that. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just do the best that I can. I'm going to face this head on. Because the next step that you're going to take, once you forgive yourself, you got to recognize that you're doing it. Why? Because patterns and habits repeat unless you replace them. And so noticing that it's a pattern, catching yourself, forgiving yourself, that is a way we're going to break this pattern. Because the step 2, based on research, you must identify what you're stressed about. So let's go back to the example of seeing bills piling up or getting the second notification that you didn't pay that parking ticket. because you procrastinated and now you missed the deadline and now it's twice as expensive. Whoa, I really blew that off. I forgive myself. What am I stressed about? I'm really stressed about senior year of college ending. I'm really stressed about this presentation that's coming up. I'm really stressed that I'm behind on my sales quota. I'm really stressed that my spouse and I haven't really talked for the last couple days, and they're really mad at me. I'm really stressed about getting these test results back from my dad. I'm worried about him. When you identify what you're actually stressed about, it loosens its grip on you. It comes out of hiding. And see, I think that stress backpack is an important analogy or metaphor that you can visualize. It's behind you, so you're not like thinking about it. When you identify what it is, you bring it right in front of your face. And because you're now identifying the source of the stress, it loosens its grip. And now what you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself, well, what would the future me want to do right now? Vidi, the artist in you that has already finished her portfolio, what does she want you to do right now? You've forgiven yourself. You've acknowledged what's stressing you out, which is the relentless pursuit of perfection. What does the future you want you to do? Or Mel, you're zipping up your pants and that bread basket is in there and, you forgive yourself for blowing this off for so long and you acknowledge the stress that you feel because you are getting older and this makes you feel like you're not in control of what's going on. What would the future Mel that had gone to see the doctor and has got this in place, what would she want you to do right now? And so that's what you're going to ask yourself. What does the future you want you to do right now? And it might just be the future you being the person that's waking up tomorrow morning. If you're sitting on the couch, 2 glasses of wine in, and you realize you've procrastinated for the last 5 hours, and you've acknowledged it, you've forgiven yourself for doing it, you've acknowledged the stress that you feel because, you are in a fight with a friend or a boyfriend or whatever. What is the you that's going to wake up tomorrow morning want you to do right now? I'll tell you what that you wants you to do. They want you to get off the couch. They want you to pack lunch for tomorrow. They want you to brush your teeth and turn off the TV and the phone and read 10 pages of nonfiction and get a good night's sleep. That's what the future you wants you to do. The future you does not want you to slip back into that vicious cycle and spend another 3 hours watching cat videos and memes and TikTok videos, which we both know is exactly what you would do if you didn't break the cycle by forgiving yourself for doing it for 3 hours, acknowledging what you're stressed about, and then deciding what the future you wants you to do instead. And then finally, use the 5-second rule. Why? This is not just listening time, people. This is doing time. We always say that about the Mel Robbins podcast. Use the 5-second rule. It's one of the most effective science-backed starting rituals on the planet for creating a new habit or pattern. And all you're going to do is you're just going to start. Because after you've forgiven yourself and you've validated what's stressing you out, and you've tapped into the future you who is kicking ass and taking names and needs you right now, I just want you to start for 1 minute. So Vidi, when you sit down tomorrow morning and that self-doubt is there and that procrastination kicks in, no problem. Use the steps. And then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start drawing for 1 minute. And here's what we know based on the research. Once you make that first cold call, you're likely to keep going. Once you start writing that first sentence on this chapter, you're going to keep writing. Once you hit record on the video, you're going to keep going. Once you fill out the first name, last name line on the application you need to fill out, you're going to keep going. Once you pull up your resume template and you start writing, you're going to keep going. Because the problem isn't your ability to do what you need to do. The problem is you've been trapped in this stress and trauma and nervous system triggered vicious procrastination cycle. And look, I know this sounds like, really? Oh my God. Mel, come on. I was listening to this because I want to be more productive. I want to make more money. I want to get more shit done. I want to have more life balance. Now you're telling me productivity. It's about forgiving myself. It's about calling forth the future me. Why would I want to try that? Well, let's hear a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, I will tell you why. YouTube, you enjoying this? Great. We make these videos for you. You're watching the Mel Robbins podcast. And I want to make sure you've subscribed to YouTube. And I also want to make sure, please support this show. If you're enjoying this, if you're loving this, share these episodes. I know you got people in your life that are struggling with this. So please share this episode. Please subscribe to this channel. All of that helps us grow, and that helps us continue to bring this to you for zero cost. And you know I want to do that for you. Mwah. Back to the show. So why would you want to try that? Let me tell you why. Because procrastination is a habit, and this habit becomes a very vicious cycle. And that's exactly where Vidya is trapped. So let her tell you what it feels like when you don't nip this in the bud. When the vicious cycle of procrastinating on her art and her work is now creeping into other areas of your life.
The worst part of all of this, whatever this is, self-doubt or whatever, wanting to be perfect, whatever this is, the worst part is that this doubt, this fear is slowly seeping into all areas of my life. I know this is affecting all the relationships in my life. And I am just worried that this will take over and destroy everything I love. So I think the question is rather, how can I relearn to believe in myself? How can I relearn to believe that I deserve all the good things that come my way and that I am good enough? How can I learn that?
Vidya, I love that. I love that you reframed the question, because that is what this is about. See, I told you procrastination was not about productivity. And I also told you that the thing that triggers it was going to surprise you. And that's why this topic is so important. I say every day that it is never too late to wake up and be the person you want to be. And you deserve that. And here's the truth on how you do that. You have to act like you believe in yourself before you believe in yourself. I'm going to say that again. You want to learn how to stop doubting yourself? You want to learn how to believe in yourself again? You want to learn how to not be so afraid or full of doubt or full of perfectionism, which, by the way, is something you learned in order to cope with crap that was going on in childhood. Perfectionism, everybody, is what you do in order to protect yourself from rejection. There's a huge, huge connection between your desire to be perfect, procrastinating, and the fear of rejection. And so using these tools, you not only are going to break the pattern of procrastination, you have a roadmap for the actions that take you to the future you. Because again, you have to act like you believe in yourself before you do believe in yourself. So let me just make this super, super detailed for you. Vidya, when you wake up tomorrow morning and you sit down in that chair and you walk through these simple steps that I have just taught you based on the research, when you start drawing, you are acting like you believe in yourself. And notice you started drawing before you did believe in yourself. That's why this is so powerful. When you see yourself acknowledging that you're procrastinating and labeling the stress and forgiving yourself for getting triggered by it, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, doing it anyway, because you're the kind of person that picks up the phone or picks up the pen or walks out the door or says that thing or does that thing, and you keep doing that consistently, you know what's going to happen? You're not only going to get the results that you want, you're going to believe in yourself because you're going to see yourself doing the work to get the results that you want. It begins with the action. And that's why I say the Mel Robbins podcast is not a listening podcast. It's a doing podcast. It's in the doing that you become someone new. You cannot wait to feel ready. You cannot wait to feel motivated. You cannot wait for procrastination to disappear. It doesn't work that way. You got to act before you feel ready. You got to act like you believe before you do. And that's why this topic is so important. It's why I believe this will be probably one of our most shared episodes, because everybody struggles with this. Whether you have kids in college or high school, share this episode with them. If there's somebody that you wish would change, this episode will be very eye-opening. If you have somebody in your life, maybe it's you, or maybe it's somebody that you care deeply about that has huge potential. And you're like, why won't they just start doing that thing? Why are they not writing their music? Why are they not starting their channel? Why are they not applying to nursing school? Why don't they believe in themselves? Why don't they just do that thing? I'll tell you why. They're stuck in a vicious cycle. And now you understand it. So send this episode to them so they can understand it too. So Leela is up next, and I love this because she listened to the episode we recently did that you guys loved. Holy cow, it was one of the most shared episodes on Spotify. I'm so glad you got a lot out of it. And a lot of you responded to the fact that I connected your habit of procrastinating to the fight or flight response that we have when we get stressed out. You know how when you get stressed, you have that fight, flight, or freeze. Procrastination is a form of freezing. And so that episode is Procrastination, the Only Way to Stop Procrastination, based on research. Again, we will link to it in the show notes. And Leela had a follow-up question on that, and here it is.
Mel, this is a huge thank you. I'm an artist, and also I procrastinate, and I get stressed, freeze, and then end up doing nothing. I heard what you said on the procrastination episode, and I think wearing the stress backpack is super heavy right now, and I plan to shed it today. I need to manage my time better. So now I need to figure out how to get back to my easel and start painting. I can't wait for your next episode. Thanks so much, Leela.
Hey, it's Mel, and I just want to talk to you since you're watching this on YouTube. First of all, thank you for being a fan of the Mel Robbins podcast. You have made us one of the top-ranking podcasts in the entire world. Please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because it's your support that allows our team to bring this to you at zero cost. And so that's really important. And I don't want you watching this on YouTube while you're driving a car. Will you take me with you by subscribing to the Mel Robbins podcast on your favorite podcast platform? Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, Stitcher. You can listen on Audible. Anywhere that you listen to podcasts, please subscribe to the Mel Robbins Show. It really matters for a growing show like ours, and it allows us to continue to bring you all this great stuff at zero cost. Okay, let's go back to the show. Leela, I'm so happy you're on our walk today with me and that you shared that, because procrastination is a form of lifestyle overwhelm. And in case you haven't listened to that episode yet, as you're taking this walk with us, when Leela said stress backpack, she's using a term that I used in that episode to basically say all those things that are going on in your life, the things that are causing you stress, whether it's conscious or subconscious, you literally carry it around with you as if all that stress is in a backpack. Joni, my friend who was caring for her mom, backpack of stress. Everybody that you've heard on our walk today, the demands of their life, the pressure that they're putting on themselves, all of that is a stress backpack. And you have one too. And what happens when you feel really stressed out is you can start to freeze. And then what happens when you freeze and you push things off and you procrastinate? You get stuck in lifestyle overwhelm. You're in this vicious cycle of pushing things off and then beating yourself up and then feeling overwhelmed because you're pushing things off that you really want to get to. And so what is the tool here? Because there's a huge lie that you tell yourself when you procrastinate, okay? And I can hear it. And the lie that we tell ourselves is, I can handle this all in my head. That if I think about it, I'm working on it. Not true. Not true. It's one of the reasons why I use that tool of a brain dump all the time, to get it out of my head, to not manage it in my head. Because if it spins in my head, it turns into rumination and nothing gets done. Just like those blank walls, those pictures are not getting done by me spinning thoughts about it. And so the real thing I want you to understand is that if it truly matters, you have to schedule it. Things that matter end up in your calendar. And so one tool that I want you to use, Leela, is ask yourself this. This is a journaling prompt that you can use, everybody, that I just love. How can I make this easy? How can I make this easy? What's the simplest way that you can make it easier to paint. And for me, I'm going to share with you, I have to do the things that are important first thing in the morning. It's not that I'm not an evening person. It's that by the end of the day, I am so wiped out and just gassed. I don't have the stamina or the willpower or the energy to force myself to do things that require energy. David Goggins, who I just love, he has his alter ego, Goggins. Goggins pushes himself and has the mental discipline. And I freaking love that. But I don't want to set up my life so that every night I've saved the thing that really brings me joy. I have to summon up what researchers call, and we've talked about this in other episodes, it's called activation energy. Csikszentmihalyi, who's a famous psychologist from the University of Chicago, studied motivation and flow states extensively and realized that this resistance that we feel to doing things that we've put off, that requires activation energy and getting out of bed, pushing yourself to paint. For me, it's exercise. And if I put off exercise till the evening, it's not happening. It takes me 100 times more energy to drag my ass to that Peloton treadmill at night than it does to drag my ass to that Peloton treadmill in the morning. And so ask yourself, how can I make this easy? Maybe you need to do it at night. Maybe that is easier for you. Maybe you need to do it in the morning. Maybe it's the weekend. Or maybe you need to, if you can afford it, you need the structure of a painting class. One of the ways that I jump-started exercising, and I realize not everybody can afford this, but one of the ways I jump-started exercising was to start taking classes again, because I would pay for it and then I was motivated to go. And I knew once I got there, I could outsource the motivation to the instructor that would be yelling at me. Maybe you need a friend to do this with you, or you need somebody that's going to be your accountability partner and be really annoying on Saturday morning and text you and be like, hey, did you paint yet? I'm not meeting you for a walk until you did. And you can trade that kind of thing. I think a lot of you know, for example, that I do a lot of the ice baths, where you climb into a really cold barrel of water, or you jump into an icy pond or a river up here in Vermont, or you take a cold shower. Do you know how I make it easy? I do it with Chris, my husband. Chris is like living with a monk. The dude is so stoic. He just kind of climbs right in there. No big deal. He shames me into doing it. That's how I make it easier. He goes in first. Now I'm like, oh God, now I got to do it. But if I have to do it myself, it's hard. And so that's what I want you to understand. Procrastination creates overwhelm. And chronic procrastination creates a vicious cycle that becomes lifestyle overwhelm. And so understand that. And that's huge that you understand that. And then the second thing I want you to do is remember, get it out of your head. Don't manage it there. It's got to get scheduled in real time. And then ask yourself, how can I make this easy? Because you can. And there's no reason why the things that you need to do have to feel so hard. And the reason why they feel so hard, everybody, is because we're not taking the time to go, okay, first of all, am I in a lifestyle overwhelm situation where I need to be kinder to myself and I need to have more compassion for myself and I need to keep reminding myself that this is a marathon and I need a little bit of stamina and I'm not going to be able to get to everything. I remember when I was doing the talk show, I had this experience where most of my team came from Oprah Winfrey's talk show and from her organization. And so I was surrounded by all these people that were super, super experienced. And my executive producer arranged for me to talk to a really, really famous talk show host whose show is no longer on the air. And this guy spent like an hour talking to me, and I'll never forget what he told me. He said, Mel, being a daytime talk show host, doing 175 shows in 6 months, this is a marathon. He said the most important thing that you could do is protect your stamina and be kind and patient with yourself. And you're not going to be able to live your normal life. You're not going to be able to go out to dinner with friends because if you tape 3 shows in a row at CBS Broadcast Center 4 days a week, you are not going to have energy. And by the way, you can't afford to get sick because the show must go on. And so right now, tell your family and your friends that you love them, but you are about to go into a bunker right now, and you are about to focus on this. And then when you come up for air, you will be able to focus on having fun again and being with everyone else. And I think there are times in your life like that. Maybe you're studying for a dissertation. Maybe you are in the middle of applying to medical school. Maybe you're going through a divorce, or you've lost somebody that you love and you're grieving. That is a moment of legitimate overwhelm. And the best thing that you could do is identify it, call it out for what it is, and be kinder to yourself and remind yourself that if you are, you'll have the stamina to move through this. And you will move through this. And there will be a time in your life where you will not feel this way. But for now, it's about putting yourself first. And for those of us that are also struggling with lifestyle overwhelm, it's okay. You now know. And now you have free, proven, research-backed tools that you can use. You got your brain dump. You got your rule of 3. Remember, it doesn't fucking matter. You can do the photos later. Nobody cares but you. And make it easier. Make it easier. That's it. And this stuff is so powerful. Like, it works so quickly. You don't realize how quickly you could break out of overwhelm because, like me, you've probably been stuck in this vicious cycle for so long that it's just the air you breathe. But there is something so much better that's available to you. You can create a better life. And that's why I wanted you to hear from a listener named Michelle last. And pay attention to the joy and the lightness in her voice. I wanted to invite Michelle on this walk with us because I want you to know that this is available to you when you finally take back control and you stop letting overwhelm run your life.
Holy shit, Mel. I just listened to your podcast on procrastination and it changed everything. You're the first person I've heard talk about money anxiety, oh my God, in a way that resonated with me. And you know what? I paid a credit card bill today that was 6 months late. I was in freeze mode, and when you said that on the podcast, I burst out crying. I mean, it was like a gut punch, and you thawed me. I paid that damn bill this morning, and all of a sudden I realized that I have more time on my hands. Like, I was sitting there wondering what I was supposed to do. I had energetic time because I'd been thinking about this bill for 6 months. I've been torturing myself and holding myself back from my greatness. It's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I mean, what if it doesn't have to be hard? What if I can do the damn thing? Thank you so much, Mel. I'm really forever grateful.
Michelle, I'm forever grateful. And I'm really proud of you. And the thing I want to really highlight, because I can hear the energetic freedom. I can hear how light you are. And what I want to point out is, until you do the damn thing, you don't realize how much thinking about something and avoiding it and feeling overwhelmed by it, how much it's robbing you of energy. I relate to that because I feel that way about that damn picture wall. And I've gone through periods of my life where I didn't pay my bills because I couldn't pay my bills, but I thought about my bills all the damn time. Overwhelm is torture. Feeling like you're stuck in a vicious cycle where you got to do more, or you got to move faster, or you got to put this, it's just pressure and it's keeping you stuck there. And so now you know the truth. You can focus. You can prioritize. You can use the rule of 3 and just focus on doing the important things. Not everything is important. And when you stop acting as if it is, you will able to get done what needs to get done. See, overwhelm goes away the minute you start to take control. And that usually happens, honestly, with a simple pen and a blank piece of paper. That's it. Do the brain dump. Pick 3 things. Tell yourself, that doesn't fucking matter today. Remind yourself that anything that is an emergency bubbles its way to the top. And always ask yourself, how can I make this easier? How can I take the pressure off? How can I do the damn thing? And just pick one of those three and get started. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pay that bill, make that call, write that next paragraph, roll out that yoga mat, pick up that guitar, or for me, write that eulogy. And then on the plane ride home, log into Shutterfly and see if you can find all of those photos that used to be stored there. Do what you've been avoiding. Follow the rule of 3 and give yourself a fucking break if you're feeling legitimate overwhelm, because it will be over. But you have a choice over whether or not it's your lifestyle anymore. And for crying out loud, stop telling yourself those 4 lies. No, you can't handle it in your head. No, rushing won't make you fit it all in. And no, everything's not of equal importance. And no, you don't need to do more. In fact, you need to do a lot less. You just need to do the things that really matter to you. And when you do that, you, my friend, are going to get your life and all of that energetic time back. And I so want that for you. Whew. I feel better. I hope you feel better. I wish you were here so I could give you a hug. You know, after a great walk with a friend, you give each other a hug. And you're like, okay, when are we doing this again? We're doing this? Yeah, you know when we're doing this again? We're doing this on Thursday. And between now and then, I want to make sure I tell you, I love you. I believe in you. And I believe in your ability to really focus on what matters to you and go create a better life for yourself. Right now, I'm sitting in a hotel room in Salt Lake City. I've got about an hour before I've got to cross the street and head over to the convention center and give a speech. But something happened this morning where I caught myself going down a rabbit hole. I started worrying about something. Then the worries became even bigger. And I realized I'm doing that thing. I'm doing that thing where I am causing myself a lot of pain because I am catastrophizing. So many of us struggle with this. You may struggle with this, where your mind is constantly defaulting to what's going to go wrong, or you're always dwelling on problems that haven't happened yet. And so I thought, why don't I just jump on the mic while I have a little bit of time here and explain what just happened to me, because I know you're going to relate to it. So here's the deal. So I wake up and I roll out of bed and I start my normal morning routine and I pick up my phone. And one of the reasons why I picked up my phone is because our oldest child, our daughter Sawyer, who's 24 years old, is in the middle of a solo backpacking trip on the other side of the world. And this is something she's wanted to do for a long time. It's really well planned out. And of course, because I'm her mother, because I worry, I am tracking her location. And we're all on WhatsApp. We're in a family group text. And right now, she is in Australia, and she had planned as part of her itinerary that she was going to go on a couple solo hikes. Cue the worry. Okay, I got my 24-year-old daughter, backpack on her back, in a country she's never been to. Obviously, it's relatively safe, but that does not prevent me from coming up with all kinds of fantasies in my mind about what could go wrong. And so I've been pretty good. I've been really good. You know, I have been able to just enjoy from afar and not become a stalker. But something happened that caused me to spiral this morning. She summited this mountain in Australia to see a sunrise 2 days ago. And I haven't heard from her. And I go to track her location. And I'm like, where is she? And it's sort of rainbow wheeling, so I can't quite see where she is. And I know she's okay because she posted something on social media. But I woke up this morning and I immediately looked at my WhatsApp. There was no message from her in the family group chat. There was no message from her directly to me. I then went to Instagram. I looked in the DMs. There was no DM from her. And I started to panic. And what did my mind think? I'm almost embarrassed to tell you. Why don't you just step in my shoes for a minute? What do you think Mel Robbins was thinking, knowing that her daughter had summited a mountain alone? It's like a 5-mile hike up. She started at 4:00 in the morning to see the sunrise. We saw the photos of the sunrise. Haven't heard from her since.
What do you think my mind is thinking right now? It's been 48 hours. She's on the other side of the world. Oh, I'm not thinking, oh, I bet she met some friends and she's out having fun. Or maybe her phone died. Or you know what, Mel? Maybe she's so busy that she doesn't have time to talk to you, because the whole point of her trip is not to keep you posted of her whereabouts. It's for her to go out and have this incredible experience and to grow and to discover and to be brave and to explore. That's not what my mind thought. Nope. You know what my mind thought? She's dead. She fell off the mountain after taking the sunrise photo. The woman is dead. Then I thought, no, maybe she got kidnapped. Then I thought, oh, no, she was sexually assaulted on the side of the trail. And somebody, this is disgusting, I know, but do not tell me that you don't do the same thing. That your mind goes dark. I'm talking gruesome, scary horror movie, dark, like in a nanosecond. And here's the thing. I know that this is a terrible thing to do. I know that this causes me pain. And I bet you do it too. I know you do, in fact, because I've seen the DMs that you write to me, whether it's you are worried about your money and you're constantly worried about something bad happening with your money or getting fired or forgetting about something for your kids. And that's where your brain is constantly settling. And here's what we're going to do today, because we're all guilty of this. There's so much research around the fact that worry is so painful in your life. Worry is a habit. This is a really, really bad spiral to get into. It causes you a lot of pain. It causes you a lot of stress. It can certainly bring on anxiety. And if you already struggle with a little bit of anxiety, it can make it a lot worse. It doesn't help with your confidence. And 1 out of 3 people, according to research, struggle with constant worrying. And so what I want to share with you today is a 6-word sentence that I use all the time in these moments when I catch my mind spiraling. And it really helps. And it really helps me because it stops that freight train of bad and negative and catastrophic thoughts. And here's the 6 words. You ready? This is what I say to myself. What if it all works out? So as I'm standing this morning in my underwear, I don't even have a bra on this morning, and I've already visualized my daughter falling to her death off of a cliff in the middle of nowhere in Australia. I'm brushing my teeth, and I'm starting to notice my anxiety rising. It's 6:15 in the morning here, and I have inflicted self-torture on myself before I've had a glass of water or a cup of coffee. This is completely unnecessary. And I catch myself. And this is what I want to teach you to do, because you need to start catching yourself. I think you and I can agree that we can't control anything that's happening outside of us, right? But we can certainly control our reaction to it. And so I'm standing there in my underwear. I'm visualizing my daughter's death or the fact that she's been kidnapped and abducted. And I notice the stress rise, and I say to myself, Mel, what if it all works out? What if it all works out? I mean, you can't argue with that, right? What if it all works out? Because in this moment where you're worried about getting fired, or you're worried about forgetting something for your kids, or you're worried about what will happen if the people that you love the most are going to die before you can say goodbye. Or this one happens for me a lot. I'll be sitting on a plane and it's taking off, and I suddenly spiral and think, if this plane crashes, I'm not going to see my daughter's wedding. I'm not going to meet my grandkids. I'm not going to get to do all this stuff that I really want to do in my life. And in that moment where I'm in the negative, what if this, what if that, what if the other thing? And I feel the pain rising, and I feel the stress rising, and I feel the self-inflicted torture coming on, I simply drop in those 6 words. What if it all works out? And here's what happens. It stops the spiral. That's the first thing that happens. What if it all works out? You just hit the brakes on the locomotive of worry. The second thing that happens is, because it's a question, what if it all works out? You actually pause for a second and consider it. And what you realize when you stop for a second and you pause and you consider, what if it all works out? Is you don't actually know what's going to happen, do you? You're just choosing to make yourself believe that something terrible has already happened. But the truth is, in this moment, you don't know. And so it is a fact, a logical fact, that it could all work out. And in fact, based on the research, this is kind of amazing. I want to throw some research at you. Let me find this. You can hear me flipping through my papers because there's a lot of really interesting stuff. There is a study at Penn State where they looked at chronic worrying. And the average person has 3 to 4 major worries a day. Okay. What if I get fired? What if I'm not happy? What if my marriage ends? Will I find love and have children? What if I don't make the money? What if this? What if that? What if the other thing? All these worries that every single one of us, you and me, we have at least 3 or 4 of them that cause us stress or make us feel some level of pain. According to this Penn State study, 91% of those worries are completely false. It's self-inflicted torture. And I think you and I both know that. And here's the other really kind of interesting thing. You know, the other 9% of the worries that do happen, the outcome is almost always way better than you expected. Period. Okay? The outcome is way better than you expected about a third of the time. So what does this mean? This means that you going, what if it's a disaster? What if this happens? What if she's fallen off a cliff? What if I never hear from her again? What if she doesn't? Bah, 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 bah. What if it all works out? See, you don't know, do you? You don't know if you're getting fired. You don't know if you're going to run out of money, but you can rely on the research that 91% of the time it doesn't happen, and a third of the 9% of the remaining, it's way better than you thought, and that leaves you with a 6% chance that something might happen. And here's how I look at this. If something bad happens, I will deal with it then. Why do I need to torture myself now when I don't even know if something amazing is happening or something bad is happening? And so what if it all works out is a way for you to catch yourself, because you and I inflict so much pain, and it is pain. It's pain when you do this to yourself. It was painful to stand in the bathroom here in Salt Lake in my underwear, brushing my teeth, thinking about my daughter's death. And it's completely ridiculous. It's not like, give me a break, Mel. Give me a freaking break. And I know all our fans right now in Australia and New Zealand are like, oh, she's fine. Like that is ridiculous, Mel. It is so fabulous. People do this all the time. They hike that trail. It's wide. It's this. It's that. I know the mountain you're talking about because she went up for the sunrise. You're completely ridiculous. That's why you need this 6-word sentence. What if it all works out? Because it will interrupt the spiral. So we're talking about fear.
Yes, my favorite topic.
Hello, fear.
Hello, fears. Yeah.
What made you decide that you were going to conquer your fears by facing 100 fears in 100 days? Like, why on earth did you do that?
Oh my gosh, because I moved to New York, the city of my dreams, and I was not living my dream because I was too much in my comfort zone. And I heard this song by One Republic that called I Lived, and they're saying about all the bones they broke and the hearts they broke and everything. I'm like, I've never broken a bone in my life or a heart or whatever. I'm like, I'm not living. I started crying because I realized like I'm alive, but I'm not living, and I want to live my life.
Okay, hold on. That was a big one. I'm alive, but I'm not living.
Mm-hmm.
I think a ton of people just went, shit.
Yeah.
I'm alive, but I'm not living.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I was checking all the boxes. I was doing all the right things. I had a good job. I was already married. I was living in New York. Everything was like in paper, perfect. But I wonder, am I happy or am I comfortable? And that's very different.
Yes. So you go to your husband. What's his name?
Adam.
You turn to Adam and say, even though we've got this dialed in,
Yeah.
I've decided I'm going to go and face my fears for 100 days.
Yeah.
Did he look at you and say, absolutely,
Yeah.
you're crazy?
No, he said, I'll support you 100%. I'll help you face all your fears.
Wow. So did you take like leave from your job, or what did you do?
No, it was you cannot imagine. I was every single day I would wake up really early, either to face a fear in the morning. Then I would go to my job. I was in advertising, and then I was doing a master's in branding at the School of Visual Arts in New York every single day of the week. So I would have to either face a fear early in the morning, during my lunchtime, before I go to the master's, or right after, like at 10 p.m. And then every day I would come back, edit a video, and upload that to YouTube, put it on all the social media channels, and then go to bed for like 3-4 hours, and then go back.
You know what this proves? This proves that if you feel like you don't have enough time, you don't have a big enough, exciting game to play.
Yeah.
And there's even research about this, that ironically, if you're super, super busy, the best way to reclaim your time is by adding in something really meaningful or challenging. And that's exactly what you did.
Yes. Yeah.
What was the scariest thing
Oh my
that you did out of the
gosh.
100?
I will tell you something. I get that question. I just got it today, speaking twice.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to answer because the biggest fear is the one you haven't conquered. Is the one you haven't faced. So if you ask me this in the middle of the challenge, I would say the next 50 fears, right? But now looking back, I can't even choose one, because this is how my everyday would look like. I would be like, okay, today was not that bad. Tomorrow I will die. And the next day, same thing. Okay, not that bad. Tomorrow it will be the worst one. And then it was never as
Well, what
bad.
was the one that you had the most anticipatory, holy shit, I might actually die if I do this?
Well, you will not guess my answer, but it's stand-up comedy. It was so scary doing stand-up comedy. So much more scary than I could ever imagine in a club in New York in front of a real audience. I was so scared. More than like skydiving and even posing nude in front of a drawing class. That was a really tough
You
one.
posed
I did.
nude in front of a drawing class?
Yeah, that was one of the scariest one as well.
So what was that like?
It was really transformational, the whole experience, because when I started, I was so self-aware. I wanted to be as skinny as I can and like hide all my imperfections. And then slowly, as the time progressed, what I realized is that I'm not giving anything to the audience that want to draw something interesting, because I'm just here thinking about myself.
So are you sitting there like cross-legged,
Yes,
arms across
hiding.
your boobs? You're like, that's my good chin angle. Like that kind of thing?
Yes. And then when I saw the other models, they were all like, they have curves and hair everywhere. And I'm like, oh, and I shaved before coming here. So I started like bending more and creating interesting shapes. And I was like, it's not about me, it's about them. And at the end, no one's judging us in the same way that we judge ourselves.
Why is it important for people? Why is it important for the person that is listening to us right now, driving their car, walking by themselves? Why is it important for that human being to face their fear?
I think the most important thing is that we get to live our most authentic lives.
How is fear the access to your most authentic life?
Because we hide ourselves. We hide who we are. We hide our needs because it is scary to speak up. It is scary to show ourselves. It is scary to experience rejection. You know, when we show who we really are, and we will experience rejection when we show who we really are. But, you know, it's not a matter of being liked by everybody. It's a matter of resonating with the right people and attracting to you and to your life the right kind of people, the people that value who you really are, so you don't have to hide or create like this fake filter of yourself.
So what was, it was the nude drawing one. That's what was a really scary one. I keep
Yeah.
thinking about that.
Yeah, a friend suggested that. I was like so mad. I'm like, why do you have to put that in my head? Because yes, I am scared of that. I am in the process of facing all my fears. I can't now unsee this huge fear that I have. I hate you. So yes.
Wow. What did you learn about yourself by doing the 100 Days, 100 Fears project?
So I learned that feeling that you get when you're about to face a fear, you know that feeling, it's in your heart and it's telling you, don't do it.
Yep.
Don't do it. That's like probably your ego trying to protect you from facing rejection or embarrassment or like losing your job or whatever it is. I always perceived that feeling as a sign that my body's telling me, don't go that way.
Right.
After facing my fears and going through that feeling over and over again,
Right.
what I see is that that's also the feeling that tells you that there's growth
Yes.
in there, and I never saw it like that. So I ran away every single time, and I missed out on so many opportunities because I was like, nope, my intuition, I thought it was my intuition, but it was just, I think, my ego or whatever it is that's trying to protect me from facing my fears. I thought they were, telling me not go that way, and it was exactly where I had to go. So now every time I experience that and I feel uncomfortable, I choose growth.
So I get that question a lot, and I would love to hear your answer or any tool that you may have for somebody who doesn't know the difference between true intuition and fear that's holding them back from reaching their potential. What's a tool or a technique somebody can use to try to tease that difference out?
Well, so whenever I'm about to do something that is outside of my comfort zone and I have that feeling, immediately I can see how my body's telling me don't do it.
Okay.
And all of these fears and negative thoughts start to pop into my brain, and it builds like a brick wall, and I can't see past that. And it's only when you focus on the rewards that you get to see past those fears. So
Gotcha.
a lot of people will ask you the question, what's the worst that can happen? Right? And then that's a really bad question. Do not ask that question.
Because you'll see the worst.
Yes. And the worst, I know, is maybe not dying or, getting fired, but the worst is hurting your feelings. And that is still as hurtful. So you don't want to go through that. But what I ask people is now change the question to what's the best that can happen. That's the only way you will get to see the rewards that are expecting you in the other side of fear. And if those rewards are not really exciting for you, then maybe that's a fear not worth facing. But if they are, then you have to go for it, despite the fear that it may bring.
I love that reframe, because you're right. When somebody says, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? They're trying to minimize your fear, but it actually has you laser focus on a fear, which magnifies even the smallest worst thing that could happen. But when you reframe it to, well, what's the best thing that could happen?
You see whole things in a whole different way. Just today, I spoke 3 times at this event, and it was a new presentation. So I was so nervous. And I told this to my community. I'm like, I'm really nervous. I'm giving out this new presentation, new material. And somebody asked, Michelle, what's the best that can happen? Because they know that's my language. And it helped me so much. So much. I immediately imagine my room full of people clapping, people laughing, people being inspired, even crying, whatever. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready for this.
So let's get started. Why don't you just go ahead and tell me what is the challenge that you're facing and how can I help you?
Oh, okay. I am stuck.
Okay.
Like, I feel like I am in quicksand, and every time I try to move, I sink. And I've been on the personal growth or development for years. I've read like all these self-help books. I've done programs. But I still feel like I'm 44 now, and I feel like life has passed me by. I feel like I'm in a job pays the bills. It's not fulfilling. I thought that I'd be in a, relationship, have a husband, have kids by now, but don't. The relationship with myself is not where I'd like it to be. And I also I'm in the worst shape that I've ever been in my life. And I look at myself in the mirror and I'm just like, okay, those 30 pounds, where did they come from? Oh yeah, that's right. You made all these choices of eating bad food, right? And so I just feel like I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know. Well, I do know where to start, but at the same time, I don't. I feel like I don't know where to start. So I just feel like, yeah, I don't know where to go from here because I've read all the books, because I've done all of that stuff. I'm just like, but I'm still here.
Okay. Thank you for sharing all of that. And what I got is that you're in a job that's not fulfilling, but it pays the bills. That you're in the worst shape of your life and you have put on an extra 30 pounds. That you are not where you thought you would be in your personal life, because at the age of 44, you thought you'd be married and have 4 kids. and your relationship with yourself is also in the gutter. And on top of all of this, you have been somebody that has read all these self-help books. You are interested in personal development, and yet you still feel very stuck. Did I get it? Is there anything else?
You got it in a nutshell, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you want to hear the good news or the bad news?
Let's go for the bad news.
Okay. So the bad news is that you are going to have to push through the emotion and the resignation that has built up. That's the bad news. That your own story, that you are not where you should be, that you made all these bad choices, that none of the stuff that you do is actually going to result in the big changes that you want. The bad news is your own attitude and story and emotions are going to be the biggest obstacle in your way. Do you want to know the good news?
Yes. Let's get some good news on there.
Well, what happened? I saw your face kind of go like, oh, when I said the bad news. So what was your reaction to the bad news?
Shoot. Like, it's like, I got to do this. It feels overwhelming. It feels like this is some work, some real work that I have to do. And it feels like daunting.
Why does it feel daunting?
So I feel like I have so much work to do. I feel like there's just this insurmountable mountain that is just unattainable. But then there's another part of me that's like, no, it's not. Like, you can do this. You've got this. But there's that part of me that's just like, Ricky, it's not going to happen for you.
And are you experiencing the life that you want to be living right now?
No. There's moments. There's moments, yeah. But the overall, no.
Okay.
No.
See, the thing is that the reason why the mountain feels insurmountable is because you've convinced yourself that it's too late. That's the only reason why it feels insurmountable. The work is the work. And the work that will change your life and get you in shape and help you find a fulfilling career and get your life force back and have you have a wonderful relationship with yourself. And when that happens, the right person walks in. The work you need to do is the same work everybody needs to do to have those things. It's the story that you're telling yourself that you're already fucked up and that it's too late and that it's going to require too much and it's not going to happen. That's the only reason why you haven't gotten started. If I could tell you that the best years of your life were ahead of you, would you do the work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
The best years of your life, Ricky, are ahead of you.
You know what? There's a voice in my head right now. And that voice says, this is BS. And the best years of your life were before. Like when you were 22, when you were in your 20s. That's what there's this recording back there that's saying that. And it's so frustrating. It's extremely frustrating because I want to believe it. I want to believe you when you tell me that my best years are ahead of me. And I have friends who tell me that the best years are ahead of me. It's like, why can't I believe that? Why can't I take what you're saying and actually truly hang on and believe it 100%? Because that's really what I want.
There's a number of
Because I got to
reasons.
believe it to achieve it, right?
Yeah, there's a number of reasons why. Number one, you've been telling yourself the other story for so long that it's not going to happen, that's become your belief. Number two, because that's been your story, that it's not going to happen, and you're sad about that, your actions in your day-to-day life, your routines, your rituals, your habits, they now match that story. And so you have started to align with a person who believes that the best days of her life are behind you, which is why you're not taking care of your health. It's why having a job that is slowly sucking your soul dry but paying the bills is enough. It's why you've kind of given up or lowered your standards when it comes to the kind of person that you want to attract. Your actions keep you stuck because your actions are the kind of actions that somebody who doesn't believe that the best days of their life are ahead of them are taking. And so the solution is to figure out what the day-to-day life looks like of a woman who believes that the best days of her life are ahead of her. And by God, she's going to act that way. And I also have a suspicion. I have a suspicion that something happened to you, either in your late 20s or in your 30s, that knocked you on your ass and knocked you off track, and you haven't recovered from it. Because it strikes me that you say, my 20s were the best time of my life. And so tell me about what was going on in your 20s that made you feel like it was the best time of your life. And then I want to know what the hell happened that changed it.
I feel like in my 20s, I was more confident. I was doing the things that I liked. What really happened? My dad died.
Okay. How old were you?
He died when I was 28. Yeah. And after that, there was some depression that happened and, you know, um, some significant breakups that happened. And I feel like those were just like probably things that kind of crushed me.
Exactly.
And I just didn't really recover.
There you go. That's what happened. You experienced profound loss. And the loss of your father, followed by the breakup of a significant relationship, spun you around. And you have an opportunity to figure out, what does it look like for you in your life now to create that foundation that got ripped out from underneath you when you were in your late 20s? If I had to describe it, I would say that you went through a great loss and you have spent a decade grieving. And whether you realized it or not, and that in the past couple years, you've spent these past couple years kind of waking up from that and being disappointed with where you are. And that's okay.
it's okay. And one of the reasons why it's so easy, Ricky, to find yourself in a situation where you've read all the books, you listen to the podcasts, but you do nothing, is because I think you're stuck also in a kind of freeze trauma response in your body where things kind of stopped moving forward when your dad died. And you went into kind of this mode. I kind of had this vision of you almost like hunkered down, waiting for the next thing to happen. So like you go into this mode of not dreaming, not going for it like you used to in your 20s, but narrowing your focus to just getting through the day. And when you read all the books, you gain knowledge, right? That stays right up here. But what you're dealing with is you're dealing with something that happened to you in your heart and your soul. Is any of this landing for you?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's the strangest thing is that I've never really put that together. Like I never really connected that. Um, like I didn't really feel like I've been grieving over for 10 years. I felt like when people ask me like when I think about my dad passing away, I feel like I've grieved and I feel like I've moved forward and I feel like I'm okay with it. I didn't really connect my being stuck in my life to that.
So I think in some ways you gave up on your own dreams. And then the breakup happened. And maybe were you with somebody that you thought you were going to marry?
I did. And it's weird because it's not just one relationship. It was like every relationship that I kind of got into afterwards, it was just like, I don't know. I can't even really explain it. But in my mind, I believed that more would come of it. And I'm embarrassed even like talking about this right now.
Why?
Why? Um, because you don't want to be that person that thought there was more and then there really wasn't. And I feel like that's what I have been. And yeah, that's why and it hurts. um, yeah.
So I can see why that would hurt. And I want you to consider looking at those relationships through a different lens, because we're going to start working on the story that you're telling yourself. Because part of the relationship story is I'm a failure, I fall for people, and I think that it's going somewhere, and they don't want me the way that I want them. I'm a failure. And I have a hunch, and again, we just met, but I have a hunch that if you were to look back on those string of relationships that didn't work after your father died, you were coping with your grief. You were not showing up healed, whole, confident you. You were showing up in those relationships with a hole that grief had created. And so when you get into a relationship and you get attached to somebody because they are filling a need that you have that you can't do in your own life, that's when things get out of balance. And because you were grieving, and I get the sense from you, because you strike me a little bit like me, that you thought you were fine, so we're going to move on, and we're going to keep working, and we're going to go forward with life, and now I'm going to meet this person, and everything's okay, because I don't want to scratch on that deeper thing that's really painful, because I'm okay, and I'm going to be tough. And yet, you carry all that stuff with you. And I think that's what happened in your relationships. That you were so wanting to be, basically to disappear in a relationship and to feel safe again, that you fall very quickly and then you misread the room. And that's it. That's all that happened, again, because of the grief. And this is all very normal. And when you start to see that things aren't lining up the way that you expected, you start to feel bad about yourself and you start to wonder, what's wrong with me? And there's nothing wrong with you. Nothing. And what you get to do now, Ricky, is we get to say today is day one of you reclaiming your happiness and taking your life back and healing what needs to be healed and defining for you what does a really fun and exciting life look like. And so I want to walk you through a super simple exercise, okay?
Okay.
I can see you processing. What emotions are coming up for you?
I don't want to cry.
Why?
Because I feel like if I cry right now, it'll be really ugly.
Great.
And it'll just be really sobby and
Great. What are the tears about?
letting go.
Mm-hmm.
I I am so used to, this might sound really crazy, but so used to feeling a certain way that imagining feeling differently feels almost uncomfortable.
What is the way that you're used to feeling? Let it come up.
That is not, doesn't matter how much how much good comes into my life, like it will never be how I want it to be. Like I will never get to where all the things that I desire, they'll actually never, it'll come so close, but not for me. It happens to everyone else around me, but it won't happen for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, it definitely won't, if that's your belief. Because you won't let it in.
Yeah.
And is this the way you want to experience life?
No. No. No.
And what would you have to change about the way that you live your life or the story that you tell yourself in order to have a different experience?
I would have to change that story. I would have to change that belief. I would have to
Yep.
do things differently.
Yes. You'd have to cry. And the tears are super important because on the topic of your dad, all the tears that you cry over somebody that has died, it's just the love that you didn't get to express while they were here. So it's a way to let love into your life. All the tears that you need to cry over disappointment that you're letting go, that's the baggage and the shame and the kind of beating yourself up that you've been doing for years. That's like a backpack that you drag around. It's a way to release that. You focus so much on holding it together and being strong and moving forward. And then at the same time, like mounting all this evidence for how things are not working, that you're not letting love and joy and connection in. You're protecting yourself from it and you're building a case against it. So many people do this. I did this for so many years too. And, you know, I want you to think about something. Maybe this will help. Because I can tell you what to do, Ricky. I can literally, and I will. I'll give you the domino that you need to tip first that will trigger a ton of other change. And if you just start chipping away at it, we can change absolutely everything. You can lose weight. You can start feeling like you're in your 20s again. You can change your job. You can get support and heal and really do the work to complete and feel present with your dad. You can forgive yourself for whatever you're doing, or you can forgive yourself for how you spent the last 14 years. You can do all that.
Mm-hmm.
The doing is the easy part. But I want you to have a deeper experience in what you're saying to yourself. And you won't believe it in the beginning. But we got to figure out what you want to believe. And then we're going to list a series of rituals that you're going to do every day that are the actions that a person that believes that their life is amazing, that the best days of their life are ahead, that they deserve to be healthy and happy and vibrant and alive and in love. We got to start aligning your day-to-day actions with the belief that you want to be driving your life. And so that part's easy. It really is, because it's just, here's the shit you need to do. Fucking do it. That's it. Like that's change. But there's a deeper breakthrough for you. And I would classify it as letting love in. And I have this visual that I use in my mind because I didn't realize how much I blocked love.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think about like your heart and your life as having a door, right? That separates you from the rest of the world. And for many, many years, the door between me and my heart and soul and the rest of the world was this like freaking mid-century steel thing that you would see on a castle that is impenetrable, right? Because I didn't trust people. I didn't love myself. I didn't feel like I was worthy. I saw all kinds of reasons why I'd fucked things up, why I was a bad person. And as I've done more and more work to be kinder to myself, to change the story about what I want to experience in life, I've started to convert that door. I did a renovation project. I got rid of that door and I put the kind of doors that you see into a kitchen in a restaurant, you know, that's got the tooth and they swing back and forth, because it allows me to be more present to when I'm letting love flow to other people. And more importantly, when I allow the love to flow back to me. Does that resonate at all with you?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I'll tell you why it doesn't, and maybe you can help me with it, because maybe
Okay,
it
great.
does, and I'm not seeing it. So I am, and my heart is completely just open for everybody and anyone.
Okay.
Like, and when I say that, I'm just like, I'm that friend that's always there. I'm that sister or that person that's always there, holding space for everybody else, being the rock for everyone else, loving. And not because I don't want to, because I really do. I
Yep.
really do. And so I give so much love. And I do receive love. I think that I do, but maybe I don't. I don't know. I just, you're shaking your head like, no.
Rocks typically don't allow a lot of love in. And if you're spending a lot of your own energy beating yourself up and feeling disappointed and settling, that's going to block love that everybody has to give to you. No, 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 no. The best days of my life are not ahead. No, 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 no. No, I don't need help. No, I'm okay. No, you don't have to go with me there. No, I can handle this on my own. No, I don't look good in this dress. That's not true.
Okay. Yeah, I, I, I do that.
Me too. Or used to. So, what do you think changed when your dad died?
Um, I really don't know. I feel maybe I've always wanted to make him proud of me.
Mm.
Um, and when he died, I felt like I didn't get the chance to do that, and that I never will get the chance to do that. Even though he never said that, he never told me he wasn't proud of me. He actually told me before he passed that he was, but I guess I just didn't really believe it because I wasn't proud of me. And I just never got the chance to really, yeah, I never got the chance to really show him who I could have been, who I believed I could be.
Thank you for going there. That's what happened. You're the one who decided that was the expiration date on you doing and living and being who you want to be. And, there's that term I've seen a lot of people talking about called quiet quitting. It's almost like you quietly quit on your own ambition and your own dreams. And so I want to reclaim that for you, okay? Because what's your dad's name?
Joe.
Joe. Joe's still here.
Mm-hmm.
Joe's watching. Joe is proud of you. This isn't Joe's shit. This is your shit. And here's the great news. You do have your entire lifetime to make yourself proud. And Joe's watching. And so your first assignment for me is I want you to write a letter to Joe, your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to thank him for being so proud of you. And I want you to tell him that you miss him. And you still feel that he's here. And you thank him for being with you and guiding you. And that you are writing this because you wanted to make a promise to yourself and a promise to him that you are going to go and do some amazing things. In your lifetime.
And is he buried somewhere?
Yes.
Is it close by?
Yeah.
I want you to go to his grave with the letter, and I want you to read it to him. Okay?
Yeah.
And one of the things I also want you to do is I want you to think back to your 20s. And I want you to think about the things that you were doing in your 20s before your dad died that you don't do now. What are those things?
Taking more risks.
Great.
I was pursuing some creative things,
Great.
and I don't do that anymore.
Okay, great. So creativity. Because what you're going to put in your letter is, and Dad, one of the things that I promised to you and to me that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back, what is the creative stuff you used to do, Ricky?
Acting.
I used to act, and I'm going to sign up for an acting class. I'm going to start going to auditions again. I'm going to join the community theater. I'm going to try out for the summer stock program. Is there anything else that you used to do?
Singing.
I'm going to start singing
Writing.
again. Great. Writing. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. That's incredible. And the reason why this is so incredible is because a job change doesn't go deep enough to change what's actually blocking your life force and your happiness. And if I were to have started this conversation by going, hey, you know what you should do? You should just go act. You'd be like, what the fuck? No. But when you can connect it to the fact that there is this vibrancy, this self-expression, this flow and exchange. Because what's interesting about acting and singing, right, and writing, is it's not just you going out, it's the love that comes back in from castmates and audience and musicians and all the people that are collaborating or witnessing that beautiful self-expression. And so that is a perfect pathway for you to change the direction of your life by simply adding in the things that got lost when your life got turned upside down. And I think the act of writing that letter and going to your dad's grave and making a promise to him and to yourself that this is what you're going to put back into your life will be a way bigger deal and a way bigger motivator than any formula that I could ever give you. See, the research shows that in order for somebody to achieve a goal, a dream, or make a change stick, there are two things that have to be present. You have to have the reason why you're doing it, and you've got to have the way or the how you're going to do it. And you're a smart cookie. You know how to audition. You know how to start singing again, whether it's in a church choir or with a group or whatever. You know how to act. You got the way all day long. You got to connect the why back to your dad and back to you giving yourself permission to be happy and to be proud of yourself. That's your why. And when you marry those two things with the step-by-step of just, oh, once a week I got to go to my singing group. Oh, once a week I got to audition for something. Oh, once a week we're done here. Because if you give yourself permission to do that, it will open up so much momentum and energy that you'll change your job like that. You'll start exercising and taking care of yourself. But that's the missing piece.
Mm-hmm. You know what I just thought of?
What?
So it's just like popped into my head. I used to really, really love working out, and it never felt like a chore. It was just something I loved to do, and I would be running. But when where I found out that my dad had passed away was when I just finished a workout, and I opened my locker and I checked my phone, and so I found out he passed away while I was at the gym. And after that, going to the gym, like, yes, I still went, but it never had the same momentum to it anymore. And I'm just connecting that right now.
That is a beautiful insight, a life-changing one.
Mm-hmm.
Because do you remember what happened let's go back to that moment. You open up the locker, you
Mm-hmm.
reach in and you grab your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you learn?
There was several messages
Okay.
from my sister that were there.
Okay.
And so I called back, and then she had said to me, I told her I was at the gym, and she's like, okay, well, just call me when you get home. And I was like, what's going on? Something in me knew that, because he had been in the hospital at the time, and something in me, I was just like, just tell me, just tell me, just tell me. And then she told me.
See,
And I remember.
Yes, you remember because that's a traumatic event in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it got married with something that you loved to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes perfect sense that it pulled the ease and the joy out of the thing that you used to love to do.
Mm-hmm.
But now that you have that incredible self-awareness, I would include that in the letter.
Yeah.
And I know you wouldn't have wanted it, and me to stop doing that, and I didn't either, and I just realized this, and I'm freeing myself of this, and I'm telling you I love you, and thank you for being proud of me, and I'm gonna start running again every day. I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna start living again. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.